Hey guys, it's Turok, and today we are going to be doing the chapter 1107 of One Piece. We are continuing after our break. I hope you guys had a happy Valentine's Day, as well as I hope that if you're in some parts of the U.S. watching this, you guys are doing okay with the storm that's out there. I myself am getting a bit of snow too. Nothing that's so detrimental as some places I saw, like near Philadelphia or Boston, and those parts received. But so today we're continuing the story where we left off 2 weeks ago. We had the oh, that's the wrong one. So we had it where am I? Oh, father, hello. Hold on, I got a kitty. So where is? Oh, I know why that's doing that. I got the second one here. I got a double page spread there. So I can see that better. Hold on. Bring that down, and that down. Shoot. Come on. Yeah. So the last chapter, the last few chapters, I'm kind of sum quickly. We had both, we had the Straw Hats in a dire situation with Saint Saturn and Kizaru. They were surrounded. Yeah, the island surrounded by the Marines. The Saint Saturn and Kizaru have Luffy, Sanji, Bonnie, Vegapunk, Atlas, and Kuma all pinned down. Luffy was worn out from fighting Kizaru, and in the last couple chapters he refueled, and now he's back into gear 5th. And what else? We found out that Vegapunk had cleverly circumvented the command hierarchy that he was ordered to build into the Kuma, all the Seraphim. I don't know if this applies still to the Seraphim, but it does with the other pacifistas, the Mark 1s, 2, 3s. Of course, where did we see Mark IIs? It was in one of the movies, right? Of course, I've just heard about them from read up on them. I haven't watched all the movies, but we've seen the Mark IIIs here. We know the Mark 1s from back 2 years ago. I should pull this back a little bit. Hold on. So the Mark IIIs are here, and there's 50 of them on the island. They're originally under the command of Sentomaru, and then that was part of the back and forth that was helping. That was kind of going to help decide the outcome of the escape, because as good as the Straw Hats are, they had to deal with Cypher Pole and now Saint Saturn and Kizaru. So having the pacifistas and Seraphim on their side is a benefit. By the way, the Seraphim still haven't been used in this part of the battle. They have 4 of them here, and they're still in these bubbles that Kuma created to keep them from being dangerous. Come on, Wilder. So we're at the point now where Bonnie has total control above the Gorosei to control them, and she does as much and orders them to fight back. And then Vegapunk got stabbed by Saturn as he figured out what happened. And Luffy came back right at the end and saved Kizaru, stopped Kizaru from killing Bonnie and Kuma again. And also we saw the Iron Giant activate again. Unfortunately, we still don't see what it's going to do. In this chapter we get something else that we've been waiting for like 40, no, no less than that, chapters now. With the Blackbeard Pirates. But at the very end of this chapter, we found out that Dory and Brocky had come to reinforce the Straw Hats and help in their escape. So we have both the Mark III pacifistas back on our side, and we have an army, a small army of giants, led by 2 of the best warriors alive of the giant civilization, probably. They're on our side here. So from that point on, we'll continue on here. So this is chapter 1107. Wait, what's it called? I didn't have the title here. Wait. I've been looking for you. And the cover page here just shows the cover page just shows Law and Beppo with a snow leopard. Oh, look at that. So they're out in a snow island or somewhere else, maybe back in this supposed to be in the North Blue where they're from. Well, no, Beppo's a minx, right? So he should be from Zoe. And yeah, Law's sleeping next to the snow leopard. He looks like he has been sipping some vodka. And Beppo's holding a tea kettle and a baseball bat, and he's just using the tea kettle and giving the leopard some tea by pouring it into a funnel. But from there, let's go to the main part. Oh, here I gotta just pull up I have this touchscreen monitor, but when I put up the double page spreads, it's very hard to see. So let me just do it here. There we go. So we start with seeing. What's her name? Omi and Kashi, and we see Omi and Kashi in one panel, and we got Dorian Braga in the other, and we get the little title cards with them. And yeah, we see that they have at least it looks like up to a dozen other pirates with them of their kind. So these guys are all 150 foot tall something men, and they're storming the island now and taking out many of the marine ships as they do so. And we start with Dorian Bragi ordering the other two, their lieutenants, to take some of them and go around to the other side and have like a second front. Have a second front attacking these ships to make sure that they aren't surrounded themselves, I suppose. Because even Dory, I think it's Dory that says it, like, watch out for those cannons while you're doing that. So apparently, even with their huge size, they're still concerned about the potential for some of the men to be taken down or severely injured. So from there on, we get on the double page, we start seeing a whole bunch of these other giants coming out, and they're. I like to look at this one in the back. It's right behind Oimo. He looks like the more stereotype appearance of old school Vikings. He's got a big beard. You can partially see it behind his arm. Big beard, and he's got the classical kind of almost horn looking helmets on. And they're all very beefy looking, actually. And they're all wearing black capes, I noticed. They're similar to their... I don't know, maybe they're black in the anime, but they're black here. They're all wearing stuff that looks very similar. It's practically like these two are on the same crew, even though they're kind of not. They're kind of their own crews they're friends and rivals. So these are like, actually, I want to stop there for a second. I just thought of a little tangent. It's really cute to see these two together, because other pirate crews out here, especially our ones we know of from the worst generation, do not, wait, let me turn this just a little bit. Do not really get along. We've only had an alliance here where Luffy will get along with just about anyone, except, well, if he worked with Kid, but if he remembered, like, really thought about it, like, he should be working with Kid of all the other pirates, because he harms civilians. But the others, Law and Luffy had an alliance to go up against Kaido, which brought Kid in because he was already captured, as well as we saw Apu and Drake and Hawkins. But these guys don't want to get along. They're all, and this is the funny part about watching with the One Piece too. They're all supposedly after the One Piece, well, except for we know now Bonnie wasn't. So the other pirates. The worst generation are like, ostensively enemies, because they're all supposedly after the One Piece. We know that Kid is, and Luffy. I don't know if Law ever really was. I think Law just wanted to go get Doflamingo. I don't know. Well, he got the poneglyphs rubbings at the end of Wano, though, but so I suppose he is. But his whole, I'm thinking more about his actions than his words, and I didn't really think Kid, after we found out about his history of Doflamingo, was wanting to go for the One Piece, but it looks like he did. So my point is, though, they're only in an alliance. These two, Dory and Bragi, have their own separate crews. Co-captain? Co-captain, wait. Actually, this makes it look differently. They call them the co-captains. I was under the impression these two each had their own pirate crews, but they're also friends. This is also called them co-captains, so maybe they're sharing the captainship, which would also be an amazing thing to see, because everyone else basically just, Luffy's the captain, but he's also, wait a minute here, this is gotta go back. Luffy's the captain, but he's not really in charge, because he's kind of a goofball with that. He's inspirational, but he's not a leader in the other kind of responsibilities. Nami and Zorro take care of a lot of that kind of stuff. Nami knows how to, and Nami's the navigator and she's responsible. Zorro's generally more responsible and he understands leadership concepts. One of his best moments is telling Luffy, you can't just let Usopp come back without him properly apologizing. So those two are the proper leaders, and they understand taking responsibilities in the way that Luffy just is like very carefree about. So it's just, anyways, back to going on was Dory and Bragi, I thought were separate crews, or maybe they formerly were, and they get along together, which is just a nice thing to see in this dog-eat-dog pirate world that Oda's created. So it's working right. So at this point we get to the next point. We see we get to see more of we see more of the crew members of Dory and Bragi jumping off their giant ship and smashing to smithereens the marine ships. So these marine ships, the ones we're seeing them compared to, basically look like a giant, like something they could just, they're like the same size almost as the marine ships. These marine ships look like they could just be like a bed or a surfboard type thing for each giant to individually ride on. It's nothing compared to theirs. Also, I noticed in this shot, I like that you get a little good shot of this second page, a good shot of the ship, and you can see Oda's designed it as a Viking longship, as we understand them. Or do we know? Because it's got shields on the side, but this one's also armed with cannons still. It's got the big figurehead in the front, so it looks really good. So now we go to Usopp and Nami and Chopper and the others. They are above and they've heard the commotion, and Usopp's using binoculars and he sees the two of them and he's just extremely excited because these two, Dory and Bragi, are his main inspiration now to the kind of man he wants to be. He had this dream even beforehand about being brave and stuff, and he showed during his first arc with Captain Kuro that he can be, but he still knows he's got a lot of ground to cover to improve himself. And when he met Dory and Bragi, like these were the two he looked up to. Also, and then when he met Omi and Kashi at Eni's lobby, he was the one to tell them, like, you guys are being tricked, because they were there under this pretense that they the government, and one of their many slimy lies, they convinced Omi and Kashi that they had captured Dory and Bragi, and that if you served time working for us, we would let them go. So yeah, Nami and the others are happy to see them as well. That's right. So Chopper's here too, and he comments, oh, it's Omi and Kashi as well. Which I just remembered, he didn't meet Dory and Bragi. They went, the Straw Hats, it was just the 5 first Straw Hats who had gone to Little Garden, and they were Vivi and her pet, her friend, the bird. And then they met Chopper afterward. So then Edison's still there too, and they're all overseeing the action. And Nami's the one who comments that it's probably Omi and Kashi would probably went to Little Garden and picked up the two of them. Which I'm also wondering if like Shanks had to help in that, because Omi and Kashi are like subordinates to them. I still don't think they could talk common sense into their captains to let go of this feud for now. I feel like Shanks doing his Shanks thing would have to go there and be the arbiter of the what's another word for that? Saying to make them stop, basically. So we get a quick panel here. Well, first, yeah, we see Usopp as he continues to see them. He pointed out, I'm glad we can see them because I thought they might not. When we got to Elbaf, we might never see them there when we were in their homeland, which is something I hadn't thought about too. That if they had got to Elbaf and they weren't there, that would have been a disappointing thing to not have a reunion in the best place to have it. Then we get a little panel with a little refresher that Oda's been doing. Like he did this when we talked about Ohara, and the refresher here just shows a single panel where we see the Dorian Bragi looking at each other with anger, and Omi and Kashi are behind them. And the panel below that, it shows Luffy, Vivi, Usopp, and Nami as they were some of the ones there looking at their the other two. And the little panel just talks about how it just is long ago, but it was like just over a century now that the two of them started their duel on Little Garden, and they talks about how they had their quarrel, and yeah, then it just talks about how they met Omi and Kashi, and then they met the other two. Okay. So now we switch back to the Straw Hats. I mean, the main event, and we see Edison like, wow, these guys are really, really giving it to the Marines. This is what we saying. This is what we need now. So, and he comment. I think it's him that comments. They must have come running after hearing the news. Yeah, I'll run. That's him. And it's Usopp and Nami say, like one of them says, like, how is that possible? And Edison just points out the common point that like, with this much manpower that was marshaled to come here, there's no way it couldn't have made the news. So, Usopp then points out, okay, they're here to help us. We gotta hurry up now and take advantage of this situation. So they, while they're doing that, so then Brook, I think it's, yeah, Brook contacts Nami or vice versa, and they're like, coordinating where they are. So they're getting together, yeah. So we have a little comedic moment where Brook's like, we're getting close, but it's too bad we can't just stop for some tea. And so there's the two of them him and Lilith are still sliding along on the ship, the Sunny, going toward getting it ready they're going to use that now as a platform to get off the island, but they need to wait for the other Straw Hats. So Lilith, we cut off as Lilith is saying, we can't afford to dilly-dally, so like, hey, pay attention, we gotta, I think, is this what did they not tell the others yet about their plan to use the ice? But they're coordinating now with the other Straw Hats. Also, we don't see Nami. Is Nami right there? Oh yeah, we see the bed Nami must be in, but we don't, not Nami, Robin. But we don't see her in this chapter. But we saw her before, and we saw she got injured, and she's probably like sleeping right now. So now we switch quickly to briefly to seeing Jinbei, because in the last chapter, Nami informed Sanji. I think she was talking to Sanji, I believe, that she had sent Jinbei to go get Zorro, who's holding off Lucci. So Lucci, and I was thinking, we talked chapters ago, months ago, that how it was going to be an interesting setup with Lucci and Kizaru going up to stop the Straw Hats. And fortunately, with Lucci, Zorro's the only one that needs to hold him down. So the other Straw Hats are able to like coordinate now and get him and get ready to get off of here. And Zorro's doing a good job of holding Lucci up so that he's not killing or stopping the Straw Hats. So right now, Kizaru's the real problem anyways. He's much stronger than Lucci, as we've seen with his speed and whatnot. And Kaku, for the record, is in a bubble also. I don't know if they just left him in the lab. Now, I forget what Stussy is. I think Stussy got hurt too, so now Stussy and Robin are both out, actually. So we don't see her at all. I think the last time we saw her was when Lucci tried to make his move and attack the Straw Hats, and she took a hit for one of them. Now we get to finally see Zorro and Lucci fighting, and they're still dueling just outside the lab in the upper lab phase area. And Zorro here is funny enough. I notice he's not even using his third sword, which would be probably Watto. That's the one he always puts in his mouth. I noticed Zorro always uses the same sword. I never thought about this before, but I was rewatching his fight at Whiskey Peak, and then when he was fighting Kaido, he does always keep the same swords in the same hands. So he has, I know he always keeps Watto Ichimoni in his mouth. And I think he always has Kitetsu in his right hand. It might be the other way around. So when he had Yubashiri, he always kept it in one of his hands, and now Yubashiri's gone. He had Shusui in place of that, and now Enma in that place. So Kitetsu all this time has been being held in whatever hand he keeps it in. He always uses it in the same hand, and Yubashiri, Shusui, and now Enma are all being held by whatever his other hand he always holds it in. So he's only using Enma and Kitetsu the third to fight with Lucci is the bottom line. So it looks like so what's going on here is they're both just clashing with each other. Like Lucci's in his Wakened form, and he's trying to swipe at Zorro, and Zorro's using his two swords to parry them, and he's probably making his own attacks, and Lucci's parrying them back too. So he's using armament hockey. Obviously, we can see some of that actually. It's one shot. I don't know if that's Kitetsu. Whatever one he's holding, his hand is clashing. Get a close up of his hand clashing, Lucci's hand clashing against one of Zorro's swords. And Zorro starts talking by saying, "You're pretty tough, but it's time to wrap this up." And he's panting as he says that. And Lucci's definitely getting tired too, and he just states, "Only the winner gets to talk like that. If your crew's waiting for you, you're becoming a burden." And Lucci brings up a comment here that I want to do a little tangent on too that's really interesting. He says, "You guys are not going to escape if they just are waiting for you." So in a way, he's I think implying that like I'm gonna get you one way or the other. So they may as well just go now if they wish to escape, because then they're gonna probably he knows. I don't think he wouldn't know. Does he know Saturn's there? He probably would not expect Saturn, but he knows Kizaru or one of the admirals will come. So he feels confident that the Straw Hats can't escape. But if there is a slim chance, he's basically saying they should just go now and leave you behind. So so there's a little tangent there I want to bring up. This is something that's been bugging me a bit with the Straw Hats, is that they're in that mindset that everyone escapes with them. But unfortunately, Oda, especially since when the Marineford stuff was heating up, made it clear that can't always happen. Actually, even back in Alabasta, Bon Clay has sacrificed himself twice now to make sure Luffy and the others could escape. Or whoever Luffy was with at the time, because he wasn't with the Straw Hats when he escaped Impel Down. But at some point here, I think Oda's here is foreshadowing that one of the Straw Hats proper, even though Bon Clay is kind of like a member now, one of the other Straw Hats is probably going to have to stay behind. And it also makes me worry that someday we are going to probably see one of the Straw Hats die. And I feel like Zorro would be the most likely one that would happen to, just because he would take that heat for others. Not to be morbid about this, but compared to some of the others, Zorro's dream is like, I was going to say he doesn't have anything to live for. He obviously wants to live for the crew. He loves his friends, and he wants to be the world's greatest swordsman. But what does he do after that? I'm kind of looking at this from a point of an author, because I like to do... I'm not a proper author, but I have story ideas right down. I've thought about this myself, like what characters would I write that might die? And looking at the Straw Hats, Zorro just seems like most likely, and then maybe Brook, and maybe even Jinbei too. But So Sanji could live his life being a cook, Nami navigating the world, Chopper saving lives, Frankie inventing things to help people. If they die, there's just so much. There's like a loss there where there are things they could do, and if their future would be so devastating. And I think Zorro would think of that too, and he would sacrifice himself for the others, even Sanji. So I have a strong feeling that at least one of the main Straw Hats, the 10 we have, are gonna die by the ending thing, because it's gonna be, think like Harry Potter. When Harry Potter got toward the end, a lot of the main characters, some of the other characters started getting killed. We had one of the twins, Ron's twin brothers, Lupin and Tonks, and some others passed away. I think something like that's going to start happening in the final stuff too. Oda's going to have to make some hard decisions on some of these characters, because that's one of the well-known things Oda's known for, is characters, there doesn't ever seem to be consequences. The characters get away every time. But after Ace and Whitebeard died, we kind of saw that's not so true. And the other thing was always, there were deaths, sure, but it was always in flashbacks that were 5 or 10 years back, like Nami's mom. I'm blanking on her name right now. Nami's mom and Brooke's crew and Nico Robin's mom. Anyways, that's my tangent on that. So we leave Lucci and Zorro, who fighting. They're fighting, and we get to see one of these other vice admirals, and we get to see his name actually too. And he's this tall one with his weird long neck, and he's assessing a fight. He's fighting on one of his ships, or commanding it while they're fighting the Mark IIIs, and he gets a damage report from one of them. And as that's happening, we see one of the ships getting destroyed by the impressive lasers of the Mark IIIs, and the report comes in that about 30 of their small and medium ships have been sunk, and they haven't been able to take out many of the Seraphims enough to stop that. And so it implies too, like they're losing their ships, the smaller ones, at a rate that they won't be able to keep up their siege properly. In other words. And so this guy's name is Vice Admiral Red King, and he orders those smaller ships then to be pulled back and let the bigger ships go up and take the brunt of that damage. And then so someone follows through with that, and then so he comments like, this is pitiful that we have to, we Marines have to fire on our own weapons. And as that's happening, we see that the big battleship he's pulling does take out one of the Mark III ones that were firing upon it's shown in the panel before, the page before it was destroying destroyed a smaller ship. So now we get to the crew on the bottom, on the main island again. We got Saturn, Sanji, Bonnie, Kuma, Atlas, Luffy, and the others. And the last time we just saw when Luffy had knocked down Kizaru before he could kill Bonnie and Kuma, and now he's dancing along the air, and Bonnie at that point had realized, oh, this is the Nika I've been looking for. Oh, because I think Vegapunk told her when they made amends the night before. Alright, now I got just a second get up this other panel. This is the other big double page we got. So Luffy sees Bonnie has been crying. He's like, oh, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? And he's just laughing. Now he gets in a position where he's just like resting in the air again. Also, I just realized, how come he can just levitate suddenly now? He seems to be able to levitate to some degree. So on top of him like turning things to rubber. Oh, that was something too. By the way, I made a mistake in the last chapter where I was like, when the others fell, I was like, how did they survive that fall? What I forgot was I was forgetting that Luffy could turn any surface, like even the ground, into rubber. So when he had done that to the ground just below where the other group fell, Atlas, that being like Atlas and Kuma and Bonnie and Vegapunk, So I miss things like that, and I'd like to make sure I bring that up. So back to here, Bonnie's like, why wouldn't I be crying? I was looking for you for so long. So she's now, feeling the fulfillment of her life, her dream of the last few years of finding Nika. This is something Luffy still doesn't understand, and only just the night before, Vegapunk explained some of this to Robin, Brook, Nami, and Usopp. Like, oh, this guy, he looks like the warrior of liberation from the history books, or some history, somewhere he found it. Luffy doesn't know it yet, and he's just like, what are you talking about? I've been here all the time. And Bonnie's like, yeah, but I didn't know you were Nika. And Luffy then, what are you talking about? What's a Nika? I'm just a rubber boy who can float now, apparently. And then he's like, well, what's that? What happened? And then he comments, because he saw Bonnie try to punch Kuma and fail. He's like, oh, what's that? What that measly punch you tried to use on Saturn? And so Bonnie explains, well, I was trying to do a big rubbery punch like you would do. And if it's so flimsy, why don't you show me how it's done? So she says, then she points to Saturn, like, and use it on him. Get him out of the way now so we can get out of here. And Saturn's here. Saturn's just sitting here watching very confidently. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to do anything yet. He's letting all these people have a conversation, even though he's in front of his awakened mortal enemy. But he comments now, oh, none of you filthy cockroaches have a right to live. I won't be letting you escape. And this pisses off Luffy. So he's like, oh, I'll have something to say on that, basically. And he gets up, winds up a punch, and he says to Bonnie, for the record, this is how you punch. So he starts winding up his fist, and then he speaks to Saturn like, this is for you hurting all my friends. And he does a version of like his Gum Gatling, I believe that would be like. Right? Is that the right one? And it's called Booming Dong. Yeah, Booming Dong Gatling. There it is. I missed the panel, the parts reading the bubbles. And he pummels fucking Saturn right in the face. And this is like the best. This doesn't look quite as good as the way we saw where Kuma's one punch went like this. But the artwork though is just as top tier. When seeing Luffy's multiple hockey punches pummeling him in the face. And as he does that, we get this look of satisfaction from Vegapunk and kind of from Bonnie. She's like, no, she's not smiling so much, but she looks better that way. And Kuma's just still sitting there. He's sitting there. The panel before, actually, or page before, he just was sitting on the ground there. He's still like, you can't tell if he's gonna like listen to orders or respond anymore. He's ever since the revolutionaries like Sabo and the others saved him from Marijois, he's just been like sitting around. It's like he was like just sitting there. They had the episode of it a while back where he's just like sitting down, and then he looks at Dragon, and when Dragon gave him an order, kind of like, hey, tell me what happened. And then he's been kind of like very like just, he looks like something, if he was like think of him in person, like someone who's just so tired or out of it, like, yeah, sure, kind of thing. So, but let me see, Luffy finishes his punches and sends Kuma flying again. So now he's sent flying. Wait, who sent him flying before when he got up? That must have been Kuma's punch. So now he gets sent flying again. So while Luffy's focusing on him, Frankie and Atlas finally get back to trying to help Vegapunk and Bonnie. So Bonnie now looks over at Vegapunk and checking his condition after he got stabbed. And Frankie says to Bonnie, you gotta get up now. If we're gonna get out of here, you have to help us get you up. And then Atlas says, the hover functions of our boots should still work, so let's use them to get off the island. While we're on the island, they should still work, so let's use them to get out of here. That'll be faster. But Vegapunk now points out, says to the others, just leave me behind. I've been a doctor long enough to realize that I can't be moved now because I've been damaged, I've been mortally wounded. Actually, that's something too I was thinking about last week. I keep forgetting that one little moment where it showed Shaka, and it seemed like Shaka was talking to Dragon right when the Straw Hats were being brought in to visit him by Lilith, and we haven't commented on that since. We only seen Dragon a little bit now when he was talking to Ivankov and Sabo First, he was talking to two of them when Sabo debriefed them on what he saw in Pangaea's castle. And then when Kuma left, he talked to Ivankov about where Kuma would go. So I don't know if that was a message, like the Shaka one was talking to Dragon. I feel like that's what it was. I think I did a video on that before. I can't recall exactly. So now Kizaru comes back though, and he gets back up again, and from where he got knocked down by Luffy. It's like Luffy's like goofing around too much. He's not. Every time Luffy just sends one of the guys flying, he's just floating there. He didn't go after Kizaru, and in this chapter, he doesn't go after. Seem to go after Saturn, as we'll see. So Kizaru gets up and prepares to try again to kill Bonnie and Vegapunk. Or not? Yeah, now he's trying. He's aiming because Kuma's somewhere to her Bonnie's left, I think. So he focuses his attack to try and get rid of Bonnie and Vegapunk. Where did Atlas and Frankie go? They were just right there. So they're not in this panel, but because they must have been trying to get their boots ready or something, ready to go. But Sanji steps in and saves the two of them this time, using a kick to block the blast. And this is another great shot. Actually, one of my favorites here. How it's illustrated with the light drawing and Sanji's doing it. And Kizaru and Frankie get this great shot where they're both surprised by this. And Kizaru's is different. He doesn't have his eyes pop out, but Frankie does. But he's still gonna whoa! How did you stop my laser? And like no one's been able to. Even Luffy, when he took a hit from it earlier, didn't block it. But Luffy, I think this is a sign too of like Sanji's durability is definitely improved since he's learning how to use his innate abilities that he gained from his unfortunate experiments given to him, imposed upon him by his father. But he's taking advantage of it to save Bonnie here. And Frankie comments, "How did you stop a laser? A freaking laser." And Sanji's response only is, "Light doesn't hold a candle to love." And then Kizaru just like, if that's true, I guess all the books on physics are going to have to start over and figure that one out. So while Sanji's got him held up there, the others take advantage of this to escape. Frankie and Atlas got their hover boots on, and Bonnie's riding on Frankie, and Atlas has Kuma's body lapped over her back so they can fly him off because he's not responding, obviously. And then they're like, yeah, let's get out of here to they're going to go to the northeast port. So the others, those guys they did leave Vegapunk behind. So Sanji and Vegapunk are the only two left here facing off against Kizaru, but Vegapunk's not facing off, he's out. I think Luffy's right there too. I didn't even see that. So now it's basically, the way they're making it look like it's Sanji and Luffy versus him. Oh, that would be cool. A tag team of these two versus an admiral. Because Luffy did pretty good on his own too. And now Sanji's with him. I didn't even notice that when I first read it. He's right in the middle there of the panel. So now Kizaru's like, oh no, this is going to make things so much harder. It's like, they'll expect me to bring back at least your heads after all this. Does he mean everyone's head or just Sanji and Luffy's? I was thinking he just meant Sanji's, or all of them. And Luffy just laughs at that. And then Sanji says, well, you better start drafting an apology letter instead, because it ain't going to happen. He just lights up a cigarette real cool while he's doing it. Yeah, and so now we get to we get back to where we see Saturn is, and this is where the chapter gets real interesting. Saturn gets up from underneath the buildings where Luffy sent him flying, and we finally see Katarina Devon. We start by seeing her foot. She steps forward, so they've been hiding somewhere there. Actually, with Van Auger's here too, so he can teleport. He probably had them they probably were like on top of one of the buildings, I bet, and they could just teleport away each time something got damaged by the Marines or by Luffy's fight with Kizaru. And she comments by saying, it's not every day we get to see one of the 5 elders down here. And then, yeah, we get the slow shot of her face. Like the Oda slowly presents her. First we saw her shoe, then her face. And she goes on, first she comments like, oh, what kind of, that's a very delicious power you have. And then she makes a very snarky comment like, oh, to think one of the elders would come down and bless us with his presence. But that just made our job easier. And she goes up to Saturn and just puts her hand on one of his legs and taps it. And then goes, mission complete. And then we get the full shot of her and Van Augur together. And he's like, looks at them and is like, what business do you have here? So he's not afraid of them, oddly enough. So this is, I'm going to bring up something. After 1094, I made a theory video that he might die in this chapter, this arc, and I thought it would be by these two. But that part, turns out I was wrong on that. I'm still worried that he'll get killed, and that will be part of the, what makes this, how Oda foreshadowed earlier, oh, this will be when it shook the world, an event that shook the world. Because that's the only thing, with him being there, their escape will be bad enough. But at this point, if they just escape, it would just look bad because they'll be blamed for killing Vegapunk if he indeed dies here and they can't get him, Sanji or Luffy can't get him out of there. But anyways, she just touches him. So I saw a spoiler. I read the spoilers for this too right before I read the chapter, and so the implication here is now that she did that, she can turn into him. But now this raises questions too. Can she? I'm having questions here. Can she do something like that to gain someone's abilities? Can she only turn into them and just disguise herself to them as them? That alone would be terrifying for her being able to turn into one of the Gorosei. But anyways, I'll get into that a little bit after the chapter's over. So Saturn continues. I'm surprised you, Katarina Devon, would from someone level 6 would choose your life to be a subordinate to someone else. And Devon just laughs and says, well, Blackbeard's special in this case. And Saturn gives us a little tidbit thing as is his lineage. So that's something too I realized too. Marcos knew something about that, but we still haven't got the goods from him about what that could be. So Devon just says, oh, you know about that. Huh? And he just says, yeah, and he just tries to get them. He goes, well, you guys are always up to no good. What do you want to get out of these stunts? And Augur is the one who, Van Augur is the one who responds, and he just says, the world. And then he looks at Saturn, and Saturn attempts to attack them, but you can tell Augur was like prepared for that, and he warps them away. And Saturn just stands there thinking about that, like kind of mulling over that. He still just got his cane right there. He's just like, they may be even more. He's like thinking that this may be more of a problem than I thought with them. So now we get to the other two, and they've warped to another part of the island. And he says to Devon, let's get out of here then. And Devon says, wait, why are we still on the island? And can't you get us any further? And he just says, oh, I haven't mastered it yet. So we have to warp multiple times, basically. Now we get to the last bit of the chapter, and we finally see Caribou again. And he comes up behind them and is like, wait, guys, wait. And what do you call them? He calls them like, he starts giving these unique titles. He's kind of, oh. Yeah, so back to, we see Caribou, and he finally shows up the first time we've seen him since the, 1064 or so, when Zorro told him to get off there on the island. He says, he basically is begging to join. He's like, I'm a pirate named Caribou, I've been looking for you guys for years. Not years, because we saw him at the beginning of this is like months ago. He says, basically I set sail because I was inspired by, I think he's saying inspired by, I was inspired, I set sail as a pirate because I was inspired by Commodore Teach. Please let me take me with you so I can meet him and join your crew. And that's the end of the chapter. So we end finding out that Caribou's goal all along was to like find him. But though he in the beginning, when he first met him, he was joining up with the Straw Hats, or the fake Straw Hats, because he was under the impression that he was the real one. But I guess his real goal all along was to stay. So he was just gonna go along with that until he found a way to get the teacher's crew, Blackbeard's crew. So yeah, that's the end of the chapter. So we finally figured out what's going on with Katarina, Davon, and Augur. They came there. They seem to be expecting that Saturn might show up. No, the way she says that, no, because she says that you made our job easier. So they came there, but I guess this is a plan they had in her and like they had with Blackbeard in reserve for a while, and it looks like this is like they basically take advantage of that one. But no, she also says mission complete, which implies they did think he would come there because of Luffy being there. So question there, my first question is, how did they know that the Straw Hats, who gave them intel that the Straw Hats might go there and that this stuff, it's like, well, they just, I wonder where Full is from there. How far it is. There's so many questions there of how they knew Saturn would be there. I'm trying to think back to what I had as a theory before about why they would be there. I guess I was thinking about, no, I don't know now. I'm gonna have to go over that later on. But my favorite part here is we're finally, it looks like, gonna see what Sanji can do against Kizaru, because the setup with Luffy, Zorro, and Sanji fighting the admirals has been in our minds for a while now, and I believe there's an opening, and I forget what opening it's from, because up until recently I haven't watched a lot of the openings. I usually just jump right into watching the anime, but I know there's one I saw a part of where it shows Luffy and was that when Fujitora was there? I think it was when Fujitora, because now we got a swordsman as one of the admirals. But we also got Greenbow. We kind of had a setup where, like, yeah, anyways, Luffy would fight Akainu, who's now the fleet admiral though, but Luffy would fight him, Sanji would fight Kizaru, and Zoro fight Fujitora. And now we're gonna get the first of those three matchups. We saw Luffy go up against Kizaru, but Luffy and Akainu definitely gonna have some go at it, because of Luffy will be out for blood for Ace's death. But seeing that would be my next thing I'm looking forward to with this. But yeah, Luffy just must be bouncing. He's not floating, right? But he did look like he was floating, I thought, one time in the anime. I'll have to go back. I thought he was just floating there after he knocked down Kaido once. So things are going pretty well here, but now we got Vegapunk is obviously down. So sadly, I don't know if he's gonna make it out of here. At this point, we just have the satellites that likely can make it out of there. Are going to. We got Edison, Lilith, and Atlas, Edison, Lilith, and am I missing one? Blanking on the others. Shaka, York's there captured. That's the last one I'm thinking of. I think they must have York. So York and Kaku are probably still sitting up there in the labo phase, like, hey, how you doing? Kaku's trapped in a bubble, and Lilith is tied up with with Seas Prism Stone stuff. So I don't know what's gonna happen with them. They're gonna get blown to smithereens if the Straw Hats don't help take them with them. So there's that to think about now. I'm thinking about now, and so yeah, back to the satellites. That means Edison, Lilith, and Atlas are planning on escaping with the Straw Hats, and Vegapunk got hurt now. I think he's gonna get out of there. I don't know. I feel like Luffy. What probably happened is I bet Sanji will hold Kizaru off, and he'll tell Luffy to take Vegapunk and go with the others that are leaving the battle scene right there. Well, no, Luffy can't go either. He might be able to do that, but then he might have to hold Saturn off. Sanji will have to fight Kizaru, and he'll have to fight Luffy will have to fight Saturn and hold him off while the others escape. Yeah, they're in a pickle there. So everyone's holding off one of the main enemies, and yeah, so they're having basically, yeah, we have our big three holding them off. We have, and Lucci is fighting with Zorro, but then Jinbei, our other heavy hitter, is going over with him to get Zorro away. I don't know how they're gonna do this. That logistics of how they're gonna escape is what I'm really like interested in figuring out now too. What's gonna happen, but yeah, their mission was just to copy. There's something else there too that I keep thinking about. Can Davon? What I'm getting concerned with is like Davon did that because she comments on his power, but they didn't kill him. I'm wondering if she can gather some essence of a person. What if she can also, if they have a devil fruit, she can transfer that over to Teach so that he can simulate or copy that power. Like they don't necessarily have to kill him. If we kind of we've all been thinking about this kind of conversation of how Teach takes someone's power. I'm starting to think that there's something here that Katarina can do that helps with that. So that's something to keep an eye on. Anyways, I think I'll end the video on that today. It's a great chapter. Yeah, I just stopped recording.